Today on MTG Unpacked, we're taking a look at the Lord of the Rings Commander deck, Riders of Rohan. So this is a blue, red, white deck. The commander here is Ewan Shieldmaiden. We also get a Collector Booster sample pack. So let's check this out. A 100 card deck with 20 new cards, foil etched display commander, 11 double-sided token cards, deck box, life rule, strategy insert, and reference card. Okay, so let's get into it. So these are going for about 50 bucks US. So this is one of the cheaper ones. They're all supposed to be around 50, but some of them have had some price increases. So hopefully they will do some reprints to settle that down a bit. So let's take a look at the deck box here. Very cool. So that will hold a fully sleeved deck. Not sure about a double sleeve though. It might be a bit tight. Okay, so let's see what else we've got in here. So we've got some dividers, very shiny, and some punch out cards on the top and sides. And we've got our deck, life wheel, and some info. But first, let's get into the Collector Booster sample pack. You won't actually find the One Ring in here. These are just a little bit extra to whet your appetite for the Collector Boosters. So let's see what we've got. We've got Minas Tirith, the borderless version. I think that's a non-foil, okay. And a foil Samwise, the Stout-Hearted, with the showcase art. So you will pull different things from what I did. So it's sort of random. Okay, so then the life wheel. Apparently the life wheel. Okay, this is a problem. So this is the first one that's been stuck. Okay, so that is supposed to go up to 40 and down to 1, but this one is actually stuck. Okay, so poor quality control there. Let's take a look at the rest. Let me know in the comments if you had that problem or not. We've got Ewan Shieldmaiden. So this is telling you about how to play the deck. So I'm guessing a lot of creatures, usually creature tokens. So we've got Ewan Shieldmaiden and Aragorn, King of Gondor, along with a little bit about how they have decided on the color alignment here. Alright, and let's get into the deck itself. So we've looked at 2 of the decks so far. We've got 2 more to go, including this one. Let's dig out the display commander here. So this is Ewan Shieldmaiden. So you'll notice thicker card stock here. So that is not something you're going to shuffle into your deck. Just purely for display. And let's dig out the lands. So we'll separate out the lands tokens and we'll cut the deck down the middle here. And let's get started. So we have Ewan Shieldmaiden. It's a mythic legendary creature, human knight, 5/4 for 5. Has first strike, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, if another human entered the battlefield under your control this turn, create 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. Then if you control 6 or more humans, draw a card. Okay, so there's our first legendary. We've also got Aragorn, King of Gondor, legendary creature, human noble. It's another mythic, 4/4 for 4 with vigilance and lifelink. You'll notice they made a bit of a decision there, different to the movies and the books. I think it's fine by me. We have vigilance and lifelink. When Aragorn, King of Gondor, enters battlefield, you become the monarch. And whenever Aragorn attacks, up to 1 target creature can't block this turn. If you're the monarch, creatures can't block this turn. Okay, so we're looking for the monarch mechanic here as well. Next up we have Lost to Legend. It's an instant for 2. Put target non-land historic permanent into its honors library 4th from the top. So artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. Next up we've got Erkenbrand, Lord of Westfold, legendary creature, human soldier, 3/3 for 4 Whenever Erkenbrand or another human enters battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. And we have Banishing Light, enchantment for 3. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Banishing Light leaves the battlefield. So a bit of temporary removal there. Next up we have Fiend Hunter, creature human cleric 1/3 for 3. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile another target creature, and when it leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Next up we've got Palace Jailer, creature human soldier 2/2 for 3. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. And when it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until an opponent becomes the monarch. And that is actually a pretty cool card. Path to Exile, you'll notice I've got different artwork on this one. Instant for a single white, exile target creature its controller may search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. We also have Sunset Revelry, sorcery for 2. If an opponent has more life than you, you gain 4 life. And then if an opponent controls more creatures than you, create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens. And if an opponent has more cards in hand than you, draw a card. So that will help you catch up a little bit. Next up we've got Swords to Plowshares, instant for a single white, exile target creature its controller gains life equal to its power. And a Village Bellringer, creature human scout 1/4 for 3 with flash. When Village Bellringer enters battlefield, untap all creatures you control. And Prince Imrahil the Fair, legendary creature human noble 2/2 for 2. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. And Humble Defector, creature human rogue 2/1 for 2. Tap, draw 2 cards. Target opponent gains control of Humble Defector. Activate only during your turn. And we've got Theoden, King of Rohan. Legendary creature human noble 2/3 for 3. Whenever Theoden, King of Rohan or another human enters battlefield under your control, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Okay, so I think we're going to be pumping up dudes as well on the team. We've got Arcane Signet, artifact for 2. Tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. I think that was in both of the other decks we've looked at so far. Commander Sphere, artifact for 3. Tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And if you sacrifice it, you get to draw a card. Heirloom Blade, artifact equipment for 3. Equipped creature gets +3/+1. And whenever a equipped creature dies, you may reveal cards from on top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares a creature type with it. So probably humans in this case. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Equip it for 1. And Herald's Horn, artifact for 3. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. So again, picking humans with this deck. Creature spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. And at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. Soul Ring, what a surprise. I've got this in pretty much every commander deck these days. Artifact for 1, tap to add 2 colorless. And Talisman of Conviction, artifact for 2, tap for colorless or tap for red or white, and it deals 1 damage to you. Talisman of Progress, tap for colorless or tap for white or blue, and it deals 1 damage to you. Thought Vessel, this is a nice one. Artifact for 2, you have no maximum hand size. Awesome. Tap for colorless. And Wayfarer's Bauble, I like the artwork on this one. Artifact for 1. For 2, tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. And Command Tower, land, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Followed by Evolving Wilds, so another one we've seen in the other decks. It's a land, tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Field of Ruin, another land, tap for colorless. For 2, tap, sack it, destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. Each player searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield, then shuffles. And Path of Ancestry, it's another land. Enters tap, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And when that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. We've also got Rogue's Passage, tap 4, colorless for 4 tap. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. And Secluded Courtyard. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Tap 4, colorless, or tap to add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type or activate an ability of a creature or creature card of the chosen type. Terramorphic Expanse, another land. Tap to and sack it. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And Baragond of the Guard, legendary creature, human soldier, 3/3 for 4. Whenever Baragond or another human enters battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn. And Champions of Minas Tirith, creature, human soldier, 4/6 for 6. When it enters battlefield, you become the monarch. Awesome. At the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn, if you're the monarch, that opponent may pay X, where X is the number of cards in their hand. If they don't, they can't attack you this combat. And Gilrian Dunedain Protector, legendary creature, human noble, 2/3 for 3 for 2 tap. Exile another target creature you control. You may return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If you don't, at the beginning of the next end step, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a vigilance counter and a lifelink counter on it. Okay, so that's the first part of the deck. We will continue here with Grey Host Reinforcements. Creature, Spirit Soldier, 1/1 for 4. Has flying and ward 3. When it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. Put a number of +1/+1 counters on Grey Host Reinforcements equal to the number of creature cards exiled this way. And Losanark Captain, creature, human soldier, 3/1 for 4 with first strike. Whenever it or another human enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature an opponent controls. And at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Okay, so definitely creating the tokens here, boosting them up through various means. Next, we have Archivist of Gondor. Creature, human advisor, 2/3 for 3. When your commander deals combat damage to a player, if there is no monarch, you become the monarch. And at the beginning of the monarch's end step, that player draws a card. We've got Denethor Stone Seer, legendary creature, human noble, 1/3 for 2. When Denethor enters the battlefield, scry 2 and for 3 in red, tap, sack it. Target player becomes the monarch. Denethor deals 3 damage to any target. And Fealty to the Realm, enchantment aura for 5. Enchant creature, and when it enters battlefield, you become the monarch. The monarch controls enchanted creature. Enchanted creature attacks each combat if able and can't attack you. Call for Aid, sorcery for 5. Gain control of all creatures target opponent controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They gain haste until end of turn. You can't attack that player this turn. You can't sacrifice those creatures this turn. And Gimli of the Glittering Caves, legendary creature, dwarf warrior, 1/1 for 3 with double strike. Whenever another legendary creature enters battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Gimli of the Glittering Caves. And whenever Gimli deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Next up, we got Boromir, Gondor's Hope, legendary creature, human warrior, 3/4 for 4. Whenever Boromir enters the battlefield or attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a human or artifact card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And Yuma, King of Rohan, legendary creature, human noble, 2/2 for 5 with double strike. Yuma enters battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other human you control. Hopefully you will have a lot of those when you cast this. And when Yuma enters battlefield, target player becomes the monarch. Yuma deals damage equal to its power to any target. And Faramir, Steward of Gondor, legendary creature, human noble, 2/2 for 3. Whenever a legendary creature with mana value 4 or greater enters battlefield under your control, you become the monarch. And at the beginning of your end step, if you're the monarch, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. Fourth, Iralingus, sorcery for X, red and white. Create X 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. And whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to one or more players this turn, you become the monarch. We've got Oath of Yule on the first turn here, so this is Enchantment Saga. You create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens. On the second turn, create 2 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. And on the third turn, put an indestructible counter on up to 1 target human. You become the monarch. Next up, we got the Riders of Rohan. Creature human knight 4/4 for 5. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 2/2 red human knight creature tokens with trample and haste. Also has dash for 4 red and white, so you can cast the spell for its dash cost. And if you do, it gains haste and it's returned from the battlefield to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. We got Taunt from the Rampart. Sorcery for 5. Goad all creatures your opponents control until your next turn. Those creatures can't block. Crown of Gondor. Legendary artifact equipment for 3. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. And when a legendary creature enters battlefield under your control, if there is no monarch, you become the monarch. Equipped for 4. This ability costs 3 less to activate if you're the monarch, which hopefully you will be most of the time. Bastion Protector. Creature human soldier 3/3 for 3. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2 and have indestructible. That is craziness. Dearly Departed Creature Spirit 5/5 for 6 with flying. As long as it's in your graveyard, each human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And Frontline Medic. Creature human cleric 3/3 for 3 with Battalion. Whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And if you sacrifice it, counter target spell with X in its mana cost unless its controller pays 3. I can hear you saying now, do you pay the 3? Next up, we've got Increasing Devotion. Sorcery for 5. Create 5 1/1 white human creature tokens. If this spell was cast from a graveyard, create 10 of those tokens instead. It's craziness. Okay, Flashback for 7 and 2 white. So you do pay extra for that. Marshal's Anthem. Enchantment for 4 has multi-kicker 1 and a white. Creatures you control get +1/+1. And when it enters the battlefield, return up to X target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of times Marshal's Anthem was kicked. Next up, we've got Selfless Squire. Creature human soldier 1/1 for 4 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, prevent all damage that will be dealt to you this turn. And whenever damage that will be dealt to you is prevented, put that many +1/+1 counters on Selfless Squire. Unbreakable Formation. Instant for 3 creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Also has Addendum. If you cast a spell during your main phase, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures and they gain Vigilance until end of turn. Verge Rangers. Creature human scout ranger 3/3 for 3 with first strike. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as an opponent controls more lands than you may play lands from the top of your library. And Visions of Glory. Sorcery for 5. Create a 1/1 white human creature token for each creature you control. That's pretty crazy. Flashback for 8 and 2 white. So this spell costs X less to cast this way, where X is the greatest mana value of a commander you own on the battlefield or in the command zone. Next up, we've got Weathered Wayfarer. Creature human nomad cleric 1/1 for a single white. For a white, tap, search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Activate only if an opponent controls more lands than you. And Combat Celebrant. Creature human warrior 4/1 for 3. If it hasn't been exerted this turn, you may exert it as it attacks. When you do, untap all other creatures you control, and after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. And we have Court of Ire. Enchantment for 5. When Court of Ire enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. And at the beginning of your upkeep, Court of Ire deals 2 damage to any target. If you're the monarch, this is a good benefit. It deals 7 damage instead. Next, we have Earthquake. Sorcery for X and a red. It deals X damage to each creature without flying and each player. So careful with that one. That one will also target your own creatures. Flame Rush Rider. Creature human warrior 3/3 for 5. Whenever it attacks, create a token that's a copy of another target attacking creature and that's tapped and attacking. Exile the token at end of combat. This one also has dash for 2 and 2 red. And then we have Frontier Warmonger, creature human warrior 4/4/4. Whenever one or more creatures attack one of your opponents or a planeswalker they control, those creatures gain menace until end of turn. And Harsh Mentor, creature human cleric 2/2 for 2. Whenever an opponent activates the ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield, if it isn't a mana ability, Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player. So you can punish your opponents with that one. Shared Animosity, which is an enchantment for 3. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gains +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. Alright, Zealous Conscripts, creature human warrior 3/3 for 5 with haste. When it enters battlefield, gain control of target permanent until end of turn. Untap that permanent, it gains haste until end of turn. So you can turn your opponent's creatures against them. Supreme Verdict, sorcery for 4. This spell can't be countered. Destroy all creatures. Okay, so basically just a board wiper there. Door of Destinies, artifact for 4. As it enters battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on Door of Destinies. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. So that can be pretty crazy when that ramps up. Vanquisher's Banner, this is a nice one. Artifact for 5. As it enters battlefield, choose a creature type. Again, choosing humans here. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. And whenever you cast a creature spell of the chosen type, draw a card. Okay, so there is the deck. Let's move on to the mana base here. So a whole stack of lands. We have Battlefield Forge. It's a land. Tap for colors or tap to add red or white. It deals 1 damage to you. Clifftop Retreat. Enters battlefield. Tap unless you control a mountain or a plains. Tap for red or white. Exotic Orchard. Another land. Tap to add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Fury Calm Snarl. As it enters battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or plains card from your hand. If you don't, it enters battlefield. Tap for red or white. Glacial Fortress enters tapped unless you control a plains or an island. Tap for white or blue. And Port Town. As it enters battlefield, you may reveal a plains or island card from your hand. If you don't, it enters battlefield. Tap for white or blue. Prairie Stream. Tap for white or blue. It enters battlefield. Tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. And Sulphur Falls. Enters tapped unless you control an island or a mountain. Tap for blue or red. Throne of the High City. It's a land. Tap for colors for 4. Tap. Sack it. You become the monarch. And that is definitely handy in this deck. Windbrisk Heights. It's a land. Has Hideaway 4. So when this land enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, and put the rest on the bottom in a random order. It enters battlefield tapped, and you can tap for white or pay white. Tap. You may play the exile card without paying its mana cost if you are tapped with 3 or more creatures this turn. Next up, we've got a Tranquil Cove. Enters tapped. When it enters battlefield, you gain 1 life. Tap for white or blue. Windscarred Crag enters tapped. When it enters battlefield, you gain 1 life. Tap for red or white. And then we have some basics. So we've got plains. 9 of those, and then islands, 5 of those, mountains, 5 of those. Okay, so there is our mana, and let's take a look at the tokens here. So we've got a 1/1 human soldier. You're going to need a ton of these for this deck. On the other side, we have a 1/1 human, and then a human soldier, another human, a 1/1 human soldier. Okay, so that's different artwork this time. On the other side, we have a 1/1 human. Okay, human soldier, another human. Human knight with trample and haste. It's a 2/2. On the other side, we've got a 1/1 human. So another knight, human, and treasure token here. So tap, sack this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. On the other side, a 1/1 human, another treasure, and what is that? A 1/1 human, yep. Treasure, and oh, and the monarch. Yes, we need this one to keep track, don't we? At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, its controller becomes the monarch. So that can add some fun to your commander games. Here we have the ring, and this is the mechanic where the ring tempts you. So you can read about that there. And then we have parts of the turn and popular Magic formats. So this is like a sort of typical creature deck with the humans. You want to bulk them up. You want to board wipe, get rid of your opponent's creatures. Also heavily biased towards the monarch mechanic. So lots of benefits from that in this deck. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one. And stay tuned, we've got one more Lord of the Rings Commander deck coming up. Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy out there. Thanks for watching and have a great day.